Africans are told, Africa is poor. But what if that story is incomplete? What if Africa isn't poor at all? What if the real story was never fully told? For many Africans, poverty doesn't just describe a situation, it feels like an identity from a young age. We are surrounded by stories of lack, in classrooms, in the news, and in everyday conversations, we're constantly reminded of what Africa is missing, rather than what it has. As we grow up, comparisons become normal. We're measured against developed countries, and slowly, almost silently, confidence begins to fade. Not because we lack ability, but because we're taught to doubt our value. Then we open our phones online. Life abroad looks effortless and perfect. Opportunity seems to live somewhere else, and Africa begins to feel less like a home to build, and more like a place to escape. This way of thinking did not happen by accident. It was built over time, and repeated often colonial history taught Africa that it was backward dependent and incapable of leading itself. And that message did not end with independence, global media continues to focus on Africa's struggles, conflict, poverty, and disease, while progress, innovation, and success are rarely highlighted. Our education systems often reward memorization over creativity, obedience over problem solving, and foreign validation over local solutions. Many of Africa's brightest minds leave in search of opportunity. And every departure quietly reinforces the belief that success lives somewhere else when daily life is hard, when unemployment, inequality, and survival are real, poverty can begin to feel permanent. Yet while this story is repeated on the surface, something very different is happening behind closed doors. The world's top investors are quietly watching Africa. If they see something valuable, then maybe it is time we see what they see. Africa's greatest wealth is not buried underground. It is alive. Africa has the youngest population in the world, with millions of energetic, creative, and ambitious minds. The continent is rich in land, water, minerals, and agriculture. Innovation is rising. From financial technology and mobile banking to renewable energy and digital solutions, African culture shapes global music, fashion, and art, and our creativity is admired worldwide. Across the continent, communities value cooperation, shared growth, and collective progress, and this is a strength many societies have lost. This is not future potential. This is present reality. No transformation begins with resources. It begins with belief. Africa does not need permission to succeed. What if we stopped glorifying life abroad and started recognizing opportunity at home? What if our challenges were not signs of weakness, but invitations to innovate? Financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and skills turn problems into possibilities. So ask yourself this: what if you could build wealth right here in Africa? Unlocking Africa's future requires action. Education must teach critical thinking, technology, and entrepreneurship. Local businesses must be supported by buying local, investing local, and innovating. Local leadership and accountability matter, and citizens must demand better systems and better governance. African countries must collaborate, share knowledge, trade across borders, and grow together. Most importantly, Africa must shift from consumption to creation. Africa can build. Africa can produce. Africa can innovate. Africa is not poor. Africa is underutilized and undervalued. The real wealth of this continent lives in its people, its culture, its ideas, and its resources. When Africans believe in themselves, the world will have no choice but to pay attention. The future of Africa is not abroad. It is in our hands. Change how you see Africa. Create, innovate, act. Life hacks. Africa's smart money. Better life, stronger Africa.